Today we got our first look at the 0.13 update for Grounded. It's called the Bug Strike Back, and you'll soon see why. In this video, I'm going to discuss all the important things I saw in the live stream and that you can expect to see in the PTS when it opens up in a few days. Before we begin, I want to thank all my channel members who help make videos like this possible. Let's get started. So as expected, a couple of new features are being added in the next update. The two main features are things that we definitely expected. First is going to be armor upgrades. So real quick, I'm going to talk about how the armor upgrades are going to work. So they didn't mention whether or not it was at a different station, and maybe at the smithing station, I'm not sure. But essentially what happens is you're going to upgrade your armor either two paths. One path will go the durability and defense route, which means your armor pieces will give you more durability and defense. The other is going to give you more bonus effect. The example they listed was the Ladybug armor. If you go I think it's the sleek path, will end up giving you more healing effect. So basically it's going to make the Scarlet Embrace work better. It looked like the upgrades were done via grub plates, berry leather plates, and pupa leather plates. It looked like the grub plates were from levels 1 to 5, then the berry and the pupa were the others. I wasn't listening to it while I was driving, so I didn't see whether or not the berry leathers were for level 6 and 7 and the pupa were for level 8 and 9, or if it was just the different paths. So that's the way that's going to go. So I was definitely expecting that, and it's happening. So let's move on to the next big thing, which is going to be base defenses. So base defenses are definitely coming, which is awesome. We're going to see the first iteration of them, and they're going to come in a couple of variations. So the first variation is going to be ones that you can trigger from set locations. So I think they were called mixers. They were these things that look like kind of like they were like purple or something like that. They kind of look like something from the Mysterious Machine. And basically you would turn them on and you would have to defend them. And those are in set locations. I think they said there was 4 or 5 of them. The ones I remember were the Mysterious Machine, the Hedge, and the Sandbox. There was at least one more, maybe 2 more. I can't remember where those were. And essentially what that's going to be is you're going to face a wave of bugs. Each one's going to have different types of bugs that come. Some have flying, some have land-based, some have both. And if you successfully complete them, you will get rewards. And the rewards that they showed for the ones they completed were the guard dog mutation, which I'm guessing that has something to do with base raids. They also got some raw science for completing it. And then there's another type of raid they mentioned, which was called faction raids. These were going to be triggered by killing a bunch of a specific type of enemy. So the one example they gave was if you went into the anthill, went in and cleared out all the ants, there's a good chance, or there's a chance, it didn't say it was a guarantee, I think they said there was a chance that the red ants would then come attack your base at some point. Now in this case, they said your base, so I'm not sure which base that's going to be. I don't know if there's going to be a way to determine or say which base you want to be attacked, or if it's just going to be random, because if you have 5 bases set up, I don't know. They didn't really go into those details. They may have answered that in the Q&A. I only caught the very beginning of the Q&A before I had to tune out. So not sure exactly how that's going to work, but I'm interested to see it. They also showed off a new trap, which was the explosive burweed trap. It just looked like a giant burweed you dropped on the ground, and it can be activated with a spicy weapon. You either have to hit it with a spicy melee weapon or shoot it with a spicy arrow, and that would activate and blow up. Now, it did blow up the player-built structures, so you need to be careful with those. I guess this is another way for them, or maybe coercing us to turn off the haze, because the only way to get a bunch of burweeds is to turn off the haze. So it looks like, actually that was the other one. Now I reminded myself, there's a raid that's going to be set up inside of the haze. So it looks like you're going to be very much incentivized to turn off the haze at this point. And then aside from that, they did mention that the raids were going to be available in custom mode. You could turn them on and off. So it sounds like if you're playing in standard, mild, medium, or woe, that they're not optional, which means if you're continuing an old save, it looks like you're not going to be able to turn those off. However, in custom mode, you can turn them on and off. And then one other thing along those lines was they did mention that most of the settings that are in custom mode will be editable after starting a custom save. That means if you want to turn off player-friendly fire, you want to turn on the backpack settings, different stuff like that, you'll be able to turn them on and off. They said there was a couple that couldn't be changed, but for the most part, you can change them. So they did mention before that they were going to change combat. I forgot to mention that in my video the other day, that they did mention combat was going to change. So what they've done is they've essentially doubled the amount of stamina that we have. So for example, let's say I have this hammer right here. We're going to see right now that I can swing it while I'm in creative mode, so it's not going to matter. But essentially right now, if you swing a weapon, it's going to drain your stamina, which is in the bottom left aqua color bar. And each weapon, I think like the swords or something, you could do like 4 swings or something like that before it would completely deplete it, depending on what your stamina was. They've now doubled our stamina, which means you're going to get twice as many swings out of each weapon. So it should make combat feel a little bit better. Another thing for combat they've done is they said they've improved the bugs AI, so it's going to be harder to cheese them. Hopefully they have better pathing. The one thing they did show, which completely terrified me, was wolf spiders can now jump. So they said wolf spiders, ladybugs, and I think there was a couple other bugs. I don't remember which ones they said. They can now jump. The example they showed was a wolf spider, or the player lured the wolf spider over to the pond, and then what happened was jumped onto a lily pad, and then the wolf spider jumped from one of the the roots to the lily pad and then over to another root to chase it. That means that, as an example, like if you stand on top, I don't know about the mushrooms here, but if you try to cheese it from on top of a rock like this or something that they normally don't get up on top of, they're not going to be able to get up on top of them. So you're not going to be able to sit there and cheese them with a bow anymore. I'll believe that when I see it, though. I got to see that in action. They said they fixed the bug AI, but we'll see how that goes, because I'm sure there's probably going to still be a way to cheese it. They also mentioned that if people figure out a way to cheese the raids, to let them know so they can figure out how to change it. The raid they did was with, I think, it was either 3 or 4 players, and it was pretty rough. I'm not sure if it's going to be scaled based on the number of players. If it's not, that's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll have to see how those are, but that's the gist of what the combat changes that we saw. In addition to that, there's going to now be bug stats. So if you enter peeper mode, so scanning a bug with peeper mode now, if you look at a bug through this, so I don't know if there's any bugs over here. So let's, for example, I look at this mosquito. It's looking at it through the peeper mode. It's going to essentially scan it, and it's going to give you details on their strengths and weaknesses. So there's going to be a menu in the UI that's going to tell you what each bug's strengths and weaknesses are. They showed that they each have cards. They also said something about there was going to be cards that you could get. There's golden cards you can get for every bug that's a rare drop. I don't know if that was from scanning them or from killing them. I missed that part, but I'm sure we'll figure that out once the PTS opens up. In addition to that, I was over here by the field station just to show you one other thing. The field stations, this computer here that's currently has nothing on it, is now going to be active. It's going to be on once you've, I guess, turned on the field stations after completing the hedge lab. And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to access Burgle from here. So you'll be able to access Burgle Quest, Burgle Swap Shop, and the Milk Molar upgrade menu from the field stations. That means you'll no longer have to run all the way back over to the Oak Tree Lab, back and forth to do those things. You will still have to go to Burgle for some things. It sounded like the main thing going back and forth to Burgle was going to be to, I think it's going to be, obviously you have to turn in the chips. You're not going to be able to turn in the Burgle chips remotely. So you will have to go back to Burgle to turn in the chips to get your upgrades. And then the last but not least is going to be the couple of items they mentioned. One was a new canteen that was, I guess it's a tier 3 canteen or a tier 2 canteen, and it was called a charcoal canteen, I believe. That's going to be used to purify dirty water. So the water that you see that's just laying around on the ground, that when you drink it, it makes you sick and drains your health, that is now going to be able to be scooped up with that canteen, and you're going to be able to drink it. So that's a late game thing. And they also showed a new torch off. So this torch right here is, I guess, I don't know what level. Let's go into, this torch provides some amount of light, but they made it, there's a new torch. I guess it's a higher tier torch that's going to provide way more light. It's also going to be repairable, so you don't have to keep crafting it. So those were the new gears. So that's everything that they mentioned that I can remember that I thought was important. I think there were some other things that were probably, I think they talked about something like they might rework some of the mutations people aren't using very much. I'm not sure exactly which ones those were. And then I'm sure there's a couple other minor things. The interesting things that were not shown, which I kind of thought were going to be shown, was they did not show any new bugs, any new creatures. They didn't show, other than the gear that I just mentioned, I don't believe they showed any new weapons. Other than that burr spike trap, or the burr trap, the explosive trap, the canteen, and the torch, they did not show any new weapons or any new armors, no new bugs, and they didn't say anything about any of the, any parts of the yard that are not populated being populated. So they did say they're saving some stuff for when the PTS actually goes live. So there's a chance something else might come. But they, as of now, it looks like, unless they like super surprise us, that what we have right now is what we're going to get, and that this update is essentially going to be focused on the bug strike back, meaning it's going to be heavily focused on the base raids. To be completely honest, I've been looking forward to them, and I'm happy that they're adding them. That's going to give me something to do for a while. Hopefully they have a little bit of depth to them. Hopefully they're a little bit challenging. I don't want to just be able to go in and beat them all in the first try and just make it super easy. So hopefully they're a little bit challenging. So anyway, that's everything I took away from the update, or the PAX live stream today. Hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did so, hit the like button down below. Let me know in the comments what you're most interested in saying. Let me know if you're happy or unhappy with what I've said or what you heard or saw on the live stream. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button once again and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.